Hello to you. Hello to you all, and welcome from a stormy, thundery, raining Glastonbury. Um, I'm just coming on, and I'll wait as always for people to join. Um, I'll just give it a few moments just for people to join, but I'm basically coming on to support anybody that is feeling they're struggling. Okay, that's really what it's about. It really makes no difference if you're on a spiritual path or you're just struggling in life. I hope that some of the things I share with you today, I just hope they help. uh, I'm just gonna make sure I'm live. I'll just check my phone while I'm waiting for a few people, more people to join. Let's see. I think I am live. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, okay. So please forgive me. I've just finished my voluntary work chopping logs here at the farm, which I love, and got it done just in time before the thunder and the showers. It feels really good actually that we've got thunder and lightning right now. Um, the energies of it feel pretty amazing. I hope that this support helps shift you in one way or another, just in a tiny way. Come back to it. Um, if you're fine today and you're struggling next week, the this video will be on my YouTube channel. There's lots and lots of support on my YouTube channel, um, generally for the journey, consciousness, and lots of mental and emotional support, which is kind of what I'm so deep with in a way, from my own life experience and coming through the other end. So as I say, I hope this serves anybody at all, regardless of your faith, your culture, um, or whether you're on a spiritual seeking path or not. Okay, so I've waffled and enough time for people to join. Um, hope you can hear me. So, probably 2 months roughly ago, I have pointed to this period, um, which goes from the the September equinox through to December solstice, and everybody is experiencing it in different ways. Um, Nobody's at the same point of the path, and to just perhaps just take a moment and just hold that space for everybody, because generally speaking everybody's trying their best. um, Even if not on a spiritual path, everybody is trying their best. They're trying to improve their way of life and their way of living. So to just take a moment and hold it in our hearts together that everybody is at their own stage of consciousness, and that's okay. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing to judge, uh, or about another person's state of consciousness. There's nothing to be triggered by another state of consciousness. There's just to allow it. There's no rush, there's no race, there's no competition. And if you get triggered by things like that, or why am I not feeling what other people are feeling? Why am I not in the joy and the bliss? Then, look at that. Not why are you not in the joy and the bliss? I don't mean that. I mean, look at why that question is even arising. Because if we just go right back to our childhood right now together, the system is set up for competition. The system is set up that if you don't get your grades, you're a failure. Yeah? We're taught this at a very, very young age. So if anybody is feeling that way of, well, what am I doing wrong? I feel a failure because this person's happy and I'm not, then look at why it's arising within you to even have that thought, because it's just programming and you can clear it. You can it's that sort of state of feeling less than, and if you just look at why that is arising, you can clear that and be at peace, and you won't have that reaction. Okay. But going back to this period of September through to solstice, it is in a pathway, or even just in a living way. It is a bit of it's a descent, because we all over the world follow the collective sine wave. It's a descent in the sine wave to the December solstice, and then it slowly begins to rise. And this is the same every single year. um, I'm going to go off. I'm going to talk about a lot of different things, so forgive me for that. But um, the reason I say it's the same every single year is we are all on a spiral. If you take a diary, if you make notes, go back to this time last year, and do it next week, and do it the week after. We're all on a spiral, so we actually visit the same sort of points every single year ourselves. It's very individual, but we just follow this collective sine wave together. Now, that point that you revisit, if in the previous year you've cleared something, and you've noticed something arising, and you've cleared your struggle, your pain, your trigger, then at this point in this year, you're still going to approach the same thing, but you no longer get triggered. Because you've resolved it in the previous year, this year you're at a higher point in your own spiral. So it doesn't arise. If you had that trigger or that problem or that struggle last year that you didn't resolve within you, you specifically within yourself, for whatever reason it wasn't resolved, then it comes up again at the same point in the next year. So it's that type of lack of resolvement of looking within. It means that you don't go up the spiral of your spiral as quickly as you could. It means yours is more of a condensed spiral, in that on that particular trigger point or behavior or belief you haven't cleared it. So what the consciousness does is it brings it back to you again, because it's not done, it's not cleared. And the more that we clear, the higher our frequency goes, the higher we go in our own spiral. Okay, so the less we look at ourselves, the less we resolve deeply, and it has to go deep, the more that remains unresolved, your consciousness will bring it to you at a stronger, in a stronger way, so that it's right here, so that it's smack right in front of you. And this year 2022 is kind of this point, September to December, is kind of the point. And I say this with all the love in my heart, because I feel it, and I have so much compassion for everyone in the world, is this year it's smack bang in people's faces because it has to go. It's this collective timeline. And so if you look at politics or countries, you can see how much disarray there is even within your own governments. Um, if I look at, the UK government, and you just watch clips of the UK Parliament and how one political party speaks to another, it's like kindergarten. Uh, so much abuse, so much sarcasm, so much ego. Now, what that's really is about is that person that's leading your country or in that government or in that political party, they're they're literally not in balance. They're not coping themselves, so they can't speak in a manner that is honoring and seeing in a balanced way. And so, this timeline is massive for everyone around the world. It impacts on countries, cultures, governments, religions, um, workplaces, families, partnerships, you name it. And it's because everything is we're at this point, thank goodness, um, where everything is dissolving at speed now. And it's dissolving at speed because of the incoming energies. Um, and the frequencies of the incoming energies speeds everything up. It speeds everything up in here, within the cells of your body, within your mind. The mind becomes racing, uh, where it's just boom, 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 boom. But that has also a very beautiful effect, is that things can get resolved much quicker than ever before. So if we look at the incoming energies of 30 years ago, the frequency itself was much lower. So resolving took much, much longer, decades even, to resolve one pattern, one um, mental emotional pattern. um, if we look at the frequency now from that everybody in the world is receiving, um, even people that aren't on a path, and they're not on a spiritual journey, um, if they awoke today, they would have a faster route because of the speed. So they'll be able to resolve matters far more quickly because of these incoming energies. So it's a two-way system. We're having the incoming energies, but we are doing the work. And it's a two-way thing, because that sun over there is actually inside of you as well as being outside as a projection. Okay, so there's a two-way interaction. There's no waiting for anything. We are it. We are it. You are it. And you can do this. And there's so much support. And if my way of supporting you doesn't resonate in my style, um, then there's somebody next door, or in a group that is good for you, that is your style. So just go to them. This is how it works. People come and go. Um, so, in terms of this timeline, anything that hasn't been resolved within you is here. It's literally here, and you can see it. Whereas, perhaps last year or the year before, um, things were more disguised. They were more harder to see within ourselves. But because this is a collective process of raising the human frequency throughout the world, um, with that knowing that we are in the age of Aquarius, it everything that does not serve the highest good is going to dissolve. And it starts with you, it starts with me, it starts with every person as an individual to go inward and look at themselves. And there's ways of doing it, and I have my ways, and I'm going to go back to sharing some of those today, even though they're already on YouTube. I know there's lots of new people here, so I'm going to go to a few ways of doing that, and then also let's do some exercises together and have some fun. Okay, we'll do something that shows you things, uh, that shows how you can change your emotions. Okay, and then you can go away and use those tools. Okay, but in terms of this timeline, it's tough for some people, but it's not tough for others, and that's because everybody's at a different stage of consciousness. So the people that it's not difficult for anymore, and this is only really recent in the last few months for people, where you're finding that they feel like they've arrived, which they have, um, that they are able to help you, they're able to support you because they've been there, they've done it, they understand their journey, and they've got their own styles and ways to support. Okay, so there's lots of people out there. There is a great deal of people within the spiritual arena, shall we say, the awakened community, that are in a massive struggle right now. And I have been watching it and weighing up whether to do a live or not. They are really, really, really feeling it. Um, and it's part of the path. We all have our own stories, we all have our own individual difficulties and struggles. But in terms of your consciousness awakening more and more and more and more and more, we all go through the same stages. So there are people it, out there that have been through the stage a lot of people are in right now. There's not many, but there are enough. And the stage that a lot of people are in right now, which is that everything's smack in their face and they're in deep struggle and they feel so alone, is part of the stages. It's actually, if you want to sort of say this whole ruler here is 4D, yeah, you could actually say that the stage a lot of people are in right now is actually a higher end of the whole of this 4D. They're here, they're not in the middle, they're here. It's where you, in multiple ways, mind, emotional, body, you're preparing to leave the 4D. That's what's happening, and that's why it's hard. It's like we talk about these mini deaths and stuff, and that term can get overused, I feel, but it is. That stage is like one of the biggest death processes in a sense, and it's super hard. And you can feel completely on your own, which I want to touch on. You feel on your own at a particular stage because you're preparing to leave that fourth dimension of consciousness. And so everybody outside of you feel that there's nobody that understands you, there's nobody really to turn to. You may have friends, but they don't understand you. You look for support online and it's not there. You can feel completely isolated and on your own. And I'm here to say that is part of the stage to a higher consciousness level. It sucks, okay, but ultimately it leads to a change in your consciousness. You're letting go of the 4D. You've already let go of the 3D. So nothing really resonates for you in those dimensions because you're about to leave it. Now, the part about feeling alone, which I'm reading a lot of people do feel, and people can always feel alone in everyday life, whether they're on a path or not, they can feel alone. But that is, if you like, an outward facing viewpoint, is that there's nobody outside of you that gets you, that understands you, um, or that wants to know, you know, some, or that doesn't have time for you. The greatest gift you can give yourself, if you feel that, because this is what it's about, this is why it's so hard, is to just take your direction inward rather than at people outside of you. It's that point where you realize there is nobody outside you that understands your journey, that understands your pain, that understands the whole of your life and the experiences you have had. There is no one, not even a partner, because your partner has had their life and their experiences. They can sympathize, they can empathize, but they haven't walked in your shoes. Only you have. So, a hard point, but a gifted point, is to accept in peace that there never ever will be anybody outside of you that is going to understand you or perceive you from your own viewpoint, because everybody has different viewpoints. If you think of a diamond with lots of different faces, you know, facets on it, and you put a person in each facet, they're all pointing in a different direction. Yeah? So there's never ever going to be anybody outside of you that understands you as well as you do. And there's always going to be people outside of you that does not understand you, that misperceives you. In 3D and 4D, that judges you. Okay? In 3D, 4D, not 5D. So if you can come to a peace within you, it's an acceptance. That's all. An acceptance that, wow, you know, wow, there's actually never going to be anybody outside of me that understands me the way I do. They haven't lived my life. And there's always going to be people outside of me within the 3D and the 4D that are going to judge me, that are going to misperceive me, that are going to be triggered by me. If you could just accept that just is, because that's the nature of polarity. It just is. Then you will come to an initial peacefulness within you, that is the nature of 3D, 4D, polarized. But at that point of realizing and accepting that, because it's that lack of acceptance that causes even more pain and trauma when a person feels lonely. When you come to that acceptance that it just is, you realize that there's only one that actually understands you more than you understand yourself. There's one that has walked with you, experienced your emotions the whole of your life. There's one that has felt your pain and your sorrow and your struggles as you do, and has been there all of your life, whether you realized it or not. And there's one that knows your thought and your struggle before you know it yourself, before it arises in your mind. And that's the divine, God, source, creator, the absolute, whatever name you call the one God, the one source of creation. No matter your religion, doesn't matter. They were all, that one was always there for you in every single breath. And so at that point, you realize that you already have your best friend. You already have the one that understands you, that understands your emotions, your thoughts, that is never ever judging you. Not once. It's impossible. I won't go into that, but it is impossible for God to judge you. So God becomes your best friend. God becomes the one that you turn to. You establish a deeper, deeper, deeper relationship to God just from within you. And that's why this point, 2022, is such a struggle for so many people. Is it's that point. Some people have already had this, and it's you know it's hard. You know, it truly is hard, but it's not when you get through it and realize that there is always one to turn to, that knows you better than you even know yourself, before your thoughts, before your emotions, before you walk out the door. And what this does is it establishes at your point or stage of consciousness, it establishes that deeper connection to God. And it continues and continues, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until, you know, every day is about God. It's not about this person or that person, because it gets so deep. A connection between you and the source that it becomes one. And it's pretty much your every thought, apart from the practical aspects of your life, of what to eat, or go and get the kids from school, or I've got this appointment, yeah, or I'm meeting this person. God becomes that primary being, if you like, that you speak to. Now there's stages after that, okay, but I'm really, really trying to assist with a lot of people that are struggling right now. It's to look inward, okay? Bearing in mind that these energies that are coming are, they're going to keep increasing in frequency, Okay, you've got to expect that they're always going to, and the increase is going to get faster. Okay, because it's been so gentle over the last probably 5 years of incoming energies starting to go up. So the increase, not only will it go higher, but the speed at which it increases is going to speed up as well. So to in terms of helping in that way, um, I want to just suggest that you look at any resistance to incoming energies and look at that. Why am I resisting it? Because if you just allow it to flow through you, your body is going to be less stressed, it's going to be less tense, you're not going to be fighting it. To also look at your emotional and your mental. Um, we can't just look at the body, we have to look at all three together, you see, because your mental can affect your body and your emotional can affect your body. So to look at it all if you can. So in terms of these behaviors, say, or these triggers, or uh, people that are finding difficulty emotionally or mentally, um, the thing, my way, and it's just my way, and I've gone into this in such depth. If you go onto YouTube, you'll see a whole video just devoted to this alone, and I'm just going to go through it really quickly here, of how to clear behavior patterns. I think it's called something like that. But to start with is to acknowledge that something has triggered your emotions. Okay. Now, the truth is, your thoughts have triggered your emotions. So a person can be outside of you and perhaps be quite unkind in the moment, or very unkind, or whatever. I appreciate that. But it's your thoughts about that that are affecting your emotions. Okay, so I want to talk about that, but to also say that there is always choice. You never have to put up with anything. Um, but the main key thing is to clear your emotions before you make a choice. To not make a choice in an imbalanced state. So if in other words, if you're struggling, take your focus into your heart as a suggestion. If you're stressed, if you're upset, take your focus into your heart. And if you want to close your eyes to feel the love within you, your love. Okay, not for something or someone, no, your love. Feel the love that you have, that you feel within you. And when you reach that feeling of love, to then, from that state of love, look at the problem. You see, if you come from a state of love, you won't beat yourself up. And quite often, when we have a problem, we can beat ourselves up, or put ourselves down for feeling this way. Or we can put somebody else down that's outside of us. But the main thing is to approach that problem from, not from the energy frequency that you've reacted by. Okay, it is to step back, go into your heart, feel love within you, and then from that state of love, ask yourself, okay, why have I reacted this way? why do I feel this way? And you'll have your answer. It's usually, oh, because he said this, or this has just happened, and it's always something outside of you to start with. But no, it's not. It's your reaction is your reaction. You have to take responsibility for your reaction to whatever happens, even if the roof blows off your house. Your reaction is yours, it's no one else's. So the moment we take responsibility for our reaction, we can really, we're in a better place to dissolve a behavior or a belief or a pattern that's running within us, that's causing us pain and struggle. You have to take responsibility for how you feel. You can't give it to somebody else, that responsibility. So ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Why have I reacted this way? And of course the answer is, well, because this and this happened outside of me. Okay, but to then go back to the last time you felt the same emotion. It might have been with somebody else, it might have been in a different country, it might have been in a different situation. Look at the last time you felt that same emotion, whatever it is. It could be sadness, despair, loneliness, anger, stress, anxiety, worry, judgment, whatever it is. Look at the last time. Look for the last time you felt the very same emotion. And then go back 10 years. However old you are, go back 10 years and try and find a memory of when you had that same emotion. And you're just observer. You don't need to go into the scene. You don't need to relive it. You're just in your heart. Remember, you're being kind to yourself, very neutral, and you're just looking at that and going, okay, yeah, oh, I had that reaction then in this and this situation. And then go back to your teenage years, where it will be the most prominent, or pretty prominent, shall we say. And find a time in your teenage years where that same emotion occurred. And then finally, go back to your childhood, and you're just looking for your earliest memory. And I know some people have told me actually that they can't remember their childhood, that it's blocked out, and that's okay. Just stick with the teenage years. You're just going to go back to your earliest memory. But what you'll find is that if you go back to the earliest memory, and the reason you're doing it, the reason you're doing these stages that I'm talking about, is because the more you see that you reacted the same way in all these different circumstances, you truly do have to admit that it's yours, that it's your reaction. And that's where you get the responsibility. You take on that responsibility. It's no longer somebody's fault or some situation. It's not the fault of the situation, of how you feel. You feel the way you feel. The emotions have been the same throughout these years, these decades. So that's why I say look at it. Go backwards to the earliest memory of childhood, because you'll see that it's your pattern, and it's that point that you can own it and go, oh, God, yeah, actually, and you can laugh. You go, well, yeah, I had this then, and then. Okay, so you're seeing a pattern within you that you can crush and dissolve so that it doesn't happen again. So you go back to your childhood memory, or the earliest memory you can, and you see, you just watch the scene. You're not in it. You don't need to go into pain again, or trauma. You're just the observer in love, like a mother would love their child. And you just watch that scene and go, yep, that's when I felt that emotion. If you go back to your earliest memory, it will always say the same thing for everybody all over the world. And it will be that in that moment you experienced a lack of love from the outside world. It will always come to the same thing. And as children, it could be that, some childs want attention, don't they? Or some, but even in that wanting attention, what they're truly needing is love. Or some children just want to be heard. You're not listening to me. Okay? In truth, they're wanting love. Because if a person is willing to listen to you, they're in a state of love listening to you. So it comes down to love. And in that moment, as a child, through a child's eyes, you didn't feel loved. And so it caused pain. And it caused a reaction based on your personality. And I talk about the overcoats. We've got all these layers, all these different personalities all over the world. And the personality, it isn't who you are. But it helps you have the experience of being human, and until we clear all these parts of the personality. So a child will react different way. One child might cry, one child might scream, one child might hit, but it's all because they're not receiving the love that little child needed in that particular moment. And there may have been good reason why in that particular moment they didn't receive the love. Perhaps your parents were cooking the tea or something, or out at work. So it's at that point, still in your heart, that you can give your love to you. The love that was absent then, you can give to yourself. Okay? It always comes down to a lack of love. And in all honesty, if we fast forward to today and the 2022 timeline and the world and the way it is, all of the problems in the world actually stem from a lack of love for one another, for everybody. There might be love for self, just one person, but there's a lack of love for all people, all beings. That's all it is. It's so simple. So, if you want a more in-depth approach on that, of how to clear patterns, just go onto the YouTube, because I talk about it in more detail than I just have. Okay, it's probably 40 minutes to an hour long. Okay. But if there is anything that is triggering you, that's upsetting you, you need to look at why am I feeling this emotion? Why do I feel this way? Because emotions, I'll just use this ruler, okay? Emotions aren't who you are. They're not who you are. You just experience energy within your body that your brain, your mind, then defines. So emotions, take your emotions, and I've said this so many times over the years, but just take your emotions as a gauge. And you've got sort of, the upsetting emotions. So there's the middle point, okay, of the gauge. And then you've got worry, sadness, and this is no particular order. You've got worry, sadness, loss, anxiety, stress, abandonment, anger, violence, blah blah blah. The emotions are each a different frequency of energy, different hertz. So an emotion, any emotion you feel, is an indication of the energy that's running through your body that you're then defining in the mind is sad, lonely, angry, okay? But you're not your emotions, and you're not your mind. You're just feeling energy that you're defining. Also, you know, all the feelings of happy, excitement, silly, joyful, playful, that they're you could call them emotions, yeah, but you're not your emotions. Emotions are a gauge to show you what, if they don't feel good, okay, all that is a gauge that's showing you that you're out of alignment with your true self. You're out of alignment with your natural state of being. They're just a gauge. They're an indicator. So you can use that as a tool to see that you're out of alignment. So come back to your heart, feel love within your heart, and then whatever the situation, whatever the pain, the trauma, the wound, look at it from love. Give yourself the love and look at it from there. And if you are in a state of love, then if it is something that's happened with some person, because it can be a situation as well, but if it's a person, then you will, in that state of love, have far more compassion for that person outside of you. You may not agree with them. You don't have to agree with them. We don't have to agree with anybody. We all have different perspectives. You may not agree with their actions or what they say, but you can come from a more balanced state of compassion and emotions running through you, and from that point you can accept that this person has done, said this or whatever, or they're not there for me, etc. You can accept that that person simply isn't there for me to help me, okay, or the family isn't there for me to help me. You can just accept it. It just is. But then you can decide and make a choice what to do about it. But you make your choice from a more balanced state. So never to make a new choice from the pain point that you experienced, because that won't be your highest choice. The highest choice in truth is all inclusive, and that doesn't mean you put up with things from what's outside of you, but you are able to have compassion for everything that's outside of you. You don't have to agree with it, okay? You just accept it for what it is. You're not trying to change it, but you can make a higher choice. And the highest choice you can make is coming into this state of your heart. And it's the same for everybody all over the world. If everybody made the highest choices from the state of love, the world would know peace in every way. Nobody would go without. So I hope that helps. I just now, if you'd like, we can just do this together, just so that you can see how you change. So we're still talking about the mind, the mental state, and your emotions. So I'm going to give you sort of a couple of little tools we can do together, and then you've just got those, and you can just use them, as you need to. Okay, so gonna be fun. Um, so wherever you are, inside, outside, doesn't matter. Um, I'd like you to try and focus on something that's in the far distance. Um, if you're outside, it could be a mountain or an apartment block, or if you're inside, it just could be the opposite wall. Um, so not too much distance, but it's a fair distance away from you. Okay, so it, stop looking at me for a moment and just do this with me, and it would be interesting to see your comments afterwards of how you experienced it. So you've selected something in the distance. I'm just going to select a tree, okay? And I'd just like you to look at it. And whatever it is you're looking at, notice your thoughts. You're just looking at this one object. Notice your thoughts. You will have already named it. Whatever that object is, your thoughts, you will have already named it. So what I'd like you to do is to look at that object without that name. Just see it as an object. Don't describe it. Don't label it. It's just an object. And if you're looking at the color of that object, I just want to ask you to let that go as well. Don't even define it with a color. As you carry on looking at that object, you're seeing the shape, but stop defining the shape. Any definition that you're giving that object, let it go. It's not a label. It's not a color. It's not a shape. Just look at it without defining it, just for a few moments in quietness. And if any thoughts come in about the object or anything else, let them go. Just look at it. So, how do you feel? Do you feel peace? just let us know in the comments. Not right now, you can do it later. Stay with me with this. Did you feel peace? You see, when we don't define things, there's no judgment. So without definition, there's just peace. It's the mind that defines everything. And as soon as the mind defines, we're literally judging it. Oh, the sun is bright today. Oh, it's cloudy today. Even if that judgment is a beautiful judgment, it's still a judgment. Oh, that tree is pretty. Oh, that tree is ugly. Whatever. Not that any tree is ugly. But you know what I mean. I'm trying to prove a point. The moment you stop defining something and just look, you find peace. In the absence of definition, there is no judgment. So whether it's a tree, a bird, the sky, a person. So let's just tell you about taking it further without doing it right now, is to take it further. If you found peace doing that, then to extend that exercise the next time you speak to somebody that may be previously irritating to you. Sorry, it's the giggle. Sorry. is to look at them, to just look. Don't define them. Don't be looking at their hair, their clothes. Just look. And you'll notice that if they're talking to you in any shape or form that we could label if we defined it, but just look. And what you'll do is you'll hear a sound coming from them, from their mouth. You just hear a sound. Don't judge it. Don't define it. It's just a sound. So if you're ever with somebody and you're finding that situation particularly stressful for you, just look. You'll notice the sound coming out of their mouth, but just like you're not defining the tree as a color or a shape, you're not defining anything. You're just looking without defining anything about that person. And if you just hear sound, you'll find that you don't engage as much with the meaning that they are giving to their words. So the person is giving meaning as they speak. But if you just hear sound from their lips, you don't get engrossed in their meaning of what they're saying. You can just be here as the observer, and you'll have a more peaceful experience. It will be so much more amazing for you. And then of course, it doesn't mean you have to accept whatever situation is happening. You have choice. You can walk away from a conversation in a kind way because you're done. It's the end of the conversation, but you can say it in a kind way. You do have a choice. So exercise your choice. It's no one else's, it's yours. No one has your choice, only you. And that choice becomes easier and easier and easier from an emotional or mental state. The more you're in your own field, it becomes easier, less difficult. So, I want to do another little exercise before I leave you. Um, to help you still the mind, okay? Because, as I say, everybody's minds are racing and they're struggling with the speed of their own thoughts. Everybody, all over the world right now, can't cope with the speed of the thoughts. So, just to help you quieten the mind, let's take the same object that you were just looking at, that's in a distance, the one that's at distance. And I'll do this with you as well. Okay? So I'll go back to the tree. And I just ask you to look at your object again. And we just spend a few moments just looking. I'm not asking you to do anything at this point. Okay? And it's okay if you're thinking about the object. I'm not asking you to not think about the object in this exercise. It's okay. You just keep looking at it just for a few moments more. So there'll be a distance between you and the object. And so now, instead of looking at the object, I'd like you to now look at the space in between you and that object. Just the space. There's no object there, it's a space between you and the object. So now focus your attention not on the object, but sort of that halfway point of space between you and that object. And take your focus there at the space. Focus on the space itself. It's your only focus. So how does that feel? Did you go more into peace? Did you feel calmer? All you did was shift your focus. That's all. And if you're looking at the space, you're not really defining anything. You immerse into the space, into the peace. So that's another thing you can do when your focus is on something that is upsetting you, irritating you, causing you pain, worry, concern, is to get yourself back to here. Back to here. Okay? And the way you can get yourself back to here, to peace, to calm, is just by doing that little exercise. And from that calm, peaceful state, make your choices, have your thoughts, look at something. And you can do that throughout your day as many times as needed. Okay? So I hope, by whatever which way, I hope that some of this has helped you. Don't forget, there's a lot of videos on YouTube in my YouTube channel. I'm just going to mention some subjects because people will be experiencing these subjects and the information is already there. There'll be videos on forgiveness. It's a beautiful one to listen to. It frees you if you feel you can't forgive. Listen to it, free yourself. There's videos on how to look at your own patterns of behavior. There's videos on emotions, the mental mind. There's videos on if you have just lost a loved one, and all of these videos come from my own experience. So it's ways that helped me, and I just teach myself. I don't look at anything outside of me. It's my path. So it's a nuisance at times, but I don't look at anything outside of me. So I teach myself, and then I can help support. But if you've just lost a loved one, there's a beautiful video there that will bring you peace and understanding in such a tragic time of loss. There's all sorts of videos to do with the mental mind and the emotional, so just have a look for some of the titles in there. Okay. I really hope somehow that has helped support you in just my way. And I've never actually spoken about the next part, but I'm gonna have the courage to speak it. Is if you feel I've supported you in any way and you want to support me, please consider a donation. I will talk about it a little bit. Is I have devoted my life to the path, and for 8 years I have helped every single week support people, and I never ask for a monetary exchange at all, because I truly believe with the whole of my heart that every single person around the world should have access to the same information. It shouldn't be dependent on income or if somebody can afford it. Everybody's entitled to this information because it's divine. It's within everybody, the divine. God is within everybody. And if you like, even though I help with mental, emotional energies, explaining ascension, if you really want to define what I'm really trying to do, it is to help people know the divine God within you that people haven't known. They haven't known the way to find God within them. It's always felt separate, and it isn't. And if I can do it, Anybody can, believe me, because I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not. I'm not at all. So I really do mean that when I say if I can do it, anybody can. Okay, I mean that. So in a way, my ultimate wish before I, pass on is to try and help as many people as possible find and connect to, literally connect to the divine God within them, so that it is no longer separate to them. It's been denied us for centuries, thousands of years. And it is that time where people find and realize, self realize God within them. And that's why I help in whatever which way. And I know that the way to do that is to help raise people's vibration. And the way we raise our vibration is by turning inward and looking at our behaviors, our beliefs, and understanding a bit about energy. But all it takes is love. That's all it takes is love to know God and the desire to know God. So that's why I do this, is I believe that everybody should have access to that. And if my way helps, that's great. And if it doesn't, find somebody that it suits your personality or where you are on your path more. But I've done this as a service. But I'm going to be honest and say there are months when I maybe have one donation, and that's it. And just like everybody has to pay bills, I have bills to pay, my rent, food, etc. And I literally live on donation only. And I don't think many people realize that, is that I don't have an income. I don't think people realize I don't take government support in terms of the payments governments give out. I don't. I rely solely on yourselves, because I feel the information should be accessible to every single human being on the planet. And some people don't have that money to pay for support. So some people do. And even if it's the price of a cup of coffee, believe me, it makes a difference. So if I do help you, please at least consider supporting me in the only way I do need support, to be honest, because I support myself mentally, emotionally, and the enlightenment path opens to me. I get to understand it, and I get to pass that on to you so that you can understand it more easily, I hope. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to that little bit. I've never even talked about it before, taken a bit of courage to do so. Um, but I hope, even, without donation, I do not do this for donation. I don't. As you can tell, I in 8 years, I've charged twice, and once actually helped me get to Mexico quite recently, uh, on a path mission, which I would not have been able to do otherwise. I had to answer the call. But twice in 8 years, it isn't a lot. Um, so sending you love. I hope what I do supports you, even in the tiniest of ways. And this video will go onto YouTube shortly, in about half an hour, and just keep going back to the videos there. If you're new to my Facebook, if you're new to YouTube, there are so many subjects I cover there, and I can't cover all the subjects every week for everyone. I try and vary it a bit so that there's hopefully something for everybody. Um, that's all I can do, to be honest, is just try as best I can based on what I feel will support. Okay, I love you all with all my heart, and Just know you're not on your own. You're never on your own. Never. And there's so many people all over the world that are going through this with you. We're here together. It doesn't matter what stage anybody's in. We're doing this all together. There's no rush, there's no race. There's just this divine perfection of timing where we're all doing this together, 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 together. Self-realization. Heaven on earth. Knowing the God within you and you and you and you. Okay, I've talked enough. Lots and lots of love to you all. Take care. Bye bye.